Hey you guys, Achillea here. So today's video will be another plant haul video, and these are the plants that I'm going to put into the smaller garden that I've been working on. And my original idea was to show you the plants and then to plant them all in the same video, but I don't think this is possible because there's a lot of plants here. So I'm going to separate it into different videos. But I'm going to jump right into the plants. And the first one is this gorgeous Bloomstruck hydrangea, and the homeowners love hydrangeas and they wanted to have as many of them in the garden as possible, and I completely understand it. They're beautiful plants, but the thing with these hydrangeas, this is Hydrangea microphylla, is that the older varieties, if you have colder winters or a really cold snap, like we had 2 Arctic blasts in the previous winter, and it killed off all of the buds on our local microphylla hydrangeas, so we have no blooms this year. But the newer varieties of microphylla hydrangeas bloom on old wood and new wood, so even if you have some winter damage on your hydrangeas, they still will bloom. So Bloomstruck hydrangea is one of the newer varieties, and this is actually one of my go-to microphylla hydrangeas. I've planted a lot of them and they perform really well. Sturdy stems, gorgeous flowers, and this is the type that you can change color of. In our area it tends to be this color. We are lucky to have acidic soil, so our pH is about 5.7, and this is the color that we have. So this is the first hydrangea that I'm going to put in their garden. The next hydrangea I have here is this tiny Tuff hydrangea, and look at how beautiful this plant is. Now the Tuff hydrangea is a serrata type hydrangea. They are a lot hardier than microphylla type, and they're also reblooming. So all of the new shoots that you see right here will bloom again this summer. This is also a type of hydrangea that you can change color of. The more basic your soil is, the more pink your hydrangeas are, the more acidic, the more blue they get. This hydrangea is also kind of what you see is what you get. They get about 2 feet wide and 2 feet tall. So this is a pretty grown plant right here, and it's a perfect plant to kind of tuck into your beds if you don't have a lot of space. And remember, the garden that I'm working on is on a smaller scale, so this is a perfect hydrangea to fit into those beds. And I also love the lace caps. Okay, so check out this plant. If this is not a perfect hydrangea, I do not know what is. And my client literally sent me a picture of some random hydrangea that she Googled, and it was this perfect panicle of blooms in this particular color. So it was a request from the client, and I can't blame her. It is absolutely stunning. So this variety is called Let's Dance Rhythmic Blue, and this is also a new variety of hydrangea. It is a reblooming one, and if you lose those older stems from previous year's growth, you still will have the blooms. Also, these dry beautifully for dried bouquets. This particular shrub is larger than the tiny Tuff stuff. It grows to about 4 to 5 feet tall and wide, but I think I can fit this one in their garden. All right, so now let's move to perennials. And the first one I have here is this Agastache Blue Fortune, or Agastache. However you say it, the pronunciation is very regional, but this is a great plant. It's a great native plant, it's a great pollinator plant. It is a member of the mint family, and the way you could tell is by square stems, but it does not spread like a mint. It's not aggressive at all, or at least I've never seen it being aggressive, but it's such a long bloomer. For me, it blooms pretty much from June all the way until the fall, just constantly producing flowers, attracting a lot of pollinators. And the foliage is fragrant, and it's just overall very, very pretty wispy plant. And the next perennial is also a great performer. This is Echinacea Ruby Star, And echinaceas are such great plants. They bloom all season long, and this is what I'm going for in this space because the space is smaller. I want to pack it with as many plants as possible that have color all season long because that's what clients requested. They want a lot of color, they want like a cottagey, free-flowing look. But the Ruby Star Echinacea is really good cultivar. It is more taller cultivar, which I love. You know, there's a lot of echinaceas there that are bred to be shorter so they can fit on the racks in the store. But when you bring them in the garden, not so pretty. But this will grow to about 3 to 4 feet tall, which I love. It is not blooming right now, but I will post a picture of what it looks like when it's in bloom. But it's a great plant, drought tolerant, great for pollinators, native again. So you can't go wrong with echinaceas. Now this plant right here is a little spire Russian sage. And Russian sage is again one of those plants that is a great performer. They look great all season long. Even when they just come out of dormancy in the spring, I love the silvery foliage of this plant. And of course the beautiful blue flowers. And if you leave it standing in the winter, if you don't cut it back in the fall, it has this beautiful gray color and beautiful structure in the winter garden. Now, Little Spire is a smaller Russian sage. You know, the straight varieties can get really big and actually splay open, but this tends to be a little bit shorter, which is great for the smaller size garden that I'm working on. All right, so this plant here is Firefly Diamond Yarrow, and the flowers are just so beautiful, nice lacy appearance. And it goes with that cottagey, meadowy look for the garden. And yarrow loves dry areas. Again, really, really tough plant. But this variety, from everything that I read, is actually more upright and has stronger stems. I don't have a personal experience with this variety, but can't wait to see how this one performs. All right, so I'm going to mix up all the beautiful perennials and shrubs that I showed you so far with this gorgeous grass. This is Nassella tenuissima, used to be called Stipa tenuissima, but common name is Mexican feather grass. And isn't it amazing? It just, this incredibly flowy grass. Now, I cannot grow it in my garden. It will not survive. It's not hardy to my garden. However, literally 1 mile away, a friend of mine, hers overwinters. There's also a whole parking lot near our local hospital that is planted with this particular plant, and they survive in the last 4 years. So because this garden that I'm planting up, I know it is a warmer microclimate, this grass will survive and hopefully thrive there. Now, I personally don't have a lot of experience with this, but my friend does. She loves it. And this is the look before it blooms. After it blooms, it gets like this kind of a hay color plumes. But right now, this beautiful silky texture of this grass is just irresistible to me. And with all of the other perennials, I think it will add that flowy texture that I'm looking for. I'm also going to add some native grasses like this little blue stem. This is Standing Ovation, and I think I showed you this one before about a month ago when I was helping my friend with her garden. This is a beautiful little blue stem. It is more upright in nature, grows to about 3 to 4 feet tall, and doesn't splay open as the straight species. All right, so this is a hardy geranium that is new to me. This is called Apple Blossom. And hardy geraniums are so underused in the gardens. They're such workhorses. I mean, look at this texture, lots of beautiful flowers. Again, I don't have experience with this one a lot. That's why I only bought one plant to see how it performs. But so far, I'm just loving the look of this. Now, this plant here is one of my favorites. This is Gaura Siskiyou Pink. And I love it because there's so few perennials that bloom all season long. And by blooming all season long, I mean all season long, from late spring all the way to the fall. A lot of annuals do that, but there are very few perennials that do that. And check out these beautiful flowers. They're like little butterflies whirling around. Now the one issue that I have with Gaura, it doesn't always come back after winter in our area. And in my own garden, I found that it performs better if it has really sharp drainage in the winter. If it has any sort of standing water, it will not come back. But in my health strip where it's very dry, really good drainage, a lot of them come back and actually reseed. Another plant that I wanted to show you is Phlox. And Phlox is, again, one of those plants that kind of keeps blooming all summer long, just keeps producing those flowers. You don't even have to deadhead them. But the one thing with Phlox is that you have to look out for mildew, because in our area they get mildew very easily. So what I usually do is I go to Mount Cuba website and I check their trials and see which phlox is more mildew resistant. And here's another gorgeous phlox. This is Blue Paradise. When I saw it in a nursery, I had to have it. I mean, look at this. It is almost like a hydrangea, really. Beautiful color. And this plant here is Salvia Caradonna, which is a classic. I've planted so many of these at my clients' gardens. It's such a great performing salvia. I love the beautiful blue flowers. And when it's done blooming in the spring, early summer, you can cut it back and it will give you another flush in the fall. And the last plant I have here is this inkberry gem box. Now, originally I wanted to plant boxwoods in their space, but I wanted to go a little bit more native, and this inkberry was just perfect. Now the problem with straight species of inkberries is a lot of times they get really leggy on the bottom. Now this is an improved variety and they do look like boxwoods, and you can prune them in a boxwood shapes. This is a more compact variety, and you can treat it like a boxwood. You can do a hedge with this or do accents in the garden, but without the fear of boxwood blight. All right, you guys, this is it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed seeing all these beautiful plants. And in the next video, I will be planting all of them up in the smaller garden that I'm working on. So thank you so much for watching today's video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye. Little Spire Russian like this little blue stem. Something is crawling on me. Boy, this is rough. No, it's not true. Which ones don't? Like this little blue stem native. What is happening? What I have here is this inkberry gem. The common name is Mexican feather winter, and you leave them. What is happening? And here come the planes.